All right. Welcome back, everybody. I have the privilege to sit down with Nate Harper, lovingly known in my phone as Nate the Workout Guy. He is a family man, 2 daughters, and a wonderful wife. He's been working for 20 years on the job in the city of Phoenix. He was a volunteer for 5 years in a small town called Grand Island in New York, where he fell in love with the craft and profession of firefighting. For the past 13 years, he's worked on the back seat of Engine 2 at a Station 1, the Big House, downtown Phoenix. Nate's also a technical rescue and a medic. Nate's a huge passion for fitness on the job, which is exactly why we're sitting down and talking today. We'll talk about his Instagram a lot too. And then the work ethic, the effort and the commitment to have a long, healthy career, but more importantly, in Nate's words here, a long and healthy retirement. So with that said, Nate, welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your day. Is there anything I missed in your bio that you want to add, sir?
It's Harpster, not Harper, because there is Harpers on the job. No, it's good. We have some Harpers too. Unfortunately, one of them passed, Brad Harper. But yeah, just want to make sure people knew.
Yes.
That's it.
I apologize, yep. Harpster. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
My
They're
brain
all good
defaults.
dudes, so hey, good company.
Exactly. And a little disclaimer, so I worked all day at the academy. It's 114 degrees today, so my brain's a little fried, so deal with me. So thank God I got Nate here fresh and cleaned up, so he'll carry me through this episode for sure.
You got it.
So Nate, so the reason why we connected, we started talking, everything else. So you are, like I said, I have you in my phone as Nate the Workout Guy. So you're blasted all over Instagram right now, but you're doing something different. So there's a lot of guys out there doing fitness, especially for the American Fire Service. So I really want to start talking about what you're doing right now here in the Valley, in the city of Phoenix, for just to help all the brothers out right now. You're posting a lot of videos. So what is your kind of modality when it comes down to fitness, and what separates you from the other guys? Because I have a feeling, and correct me if I'm wrong, how you are separate from the other guys to me is you build in these workouts that are, in my opinion, very easy to slide in even a shitty shift at the firehouse. So, but hey, Nate, thank you. The floor is yours. Please, let's talk about you, fitness, and your modalities, my brother.
No, I think you're exactly right, man. I feel like a lot of times, and I get it a lot, that people are saying, oh, it must be nice to be able to work out, tell me you're at a slow station without telling me you're at a slow station, blah, 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 blah. Well, that is my whole thing is you can get a workout done 15 to 20 minutes. You don't have to spend 2 hours in the gym. You don't even have to spend an hour in the gym. It's not, quit making excuses. Find time in your day. Do I get interrupted? 100%. I get interrupted. Now, Instagram doesn't really show the interruptions, right? But I get interrupted. And it's not unique to me. You see guys working out at every single station here, Phoenix, Glendale, anywhere in the Valley. Guys have a culture around fitness, and it doesn't matter if they're at a busy house. I recently just worked at 18, one of the busiest stations it's probably up there in the country. I mean, yeah. Right? Those guys get a workout in every shift. I mean, so my whole thing is quit the bitching, quit the excuses. In order to do this job, to maintain the level of fitness professionalism that we need to be able to respond, especially here in our environment, you have to find time to get it in. And it can be done in 15, 20 minutes, and it can be done super effectively in that amount of time.
All right. So that's awesome. And that fits us and our lifestyle a lot. And I think it kind of opens the door for guys that are scared. They're like, bro, I don't want to commit an hour. Man, I don't know if I can commit an hour because I'm at the Hammer Station 18, just getting blasted every freaking 10, 15 minutes. So, dude, I love it. So what got you into the fitness? Like, what was the turning point where you're like, man, I got to prioritize this? Was it for the job? Was it for the family? Was it a mix? Like, just wrap it up.
Totally a mix, man. So, I wasn't always in the shape that I'm in now. Now, when I got in the academy, I was great shape, and I always called myself like a 33% CrossFitter back in the day. Like I would only do some workouts on shift, my days off, didn't do anything, ate whatever I want, blah, blah, blah. And then, my father actually got diagnosed with esophageal cancer. He passed in 2008. And a couple of years after that, going through the same motions, like, dude, I saw a picture of myself and I was fishing at my place. I have a place in Pennsylvania. I was fishing and I had my shirt off next to my daughter. I'm holding up this fish and I'm just like looked at myself and I go, dude, you look soft. You're like kind of skinny fat, soft. And something kind of clicked in my head and I was like, you know, dad passed away from esophageal cancer. He was by all standards healthy, you know, the American standard diet. You know, he was a pro, not a pro, a semi-pro football player back in the day, just a guy that kind of, you know, took care of himself, or at least he thought. And he didn't have half the exposures we do. I didn't have the sleep deprivation that we do. Didn't have the stress load that we do. And I said, something's got to change, or else I am just kind of stacking the deck against myself if I don't. And so that is really when I start to really get a hold of my habits and create some consistency in my fitness and my mindset that I want to be around for my family longer than my dad was. I want to be able to get through this job, do a good job, be fit, and then be able to walk out the door feeling the same way I walked into those doors and be able to crush it in retirement. That for me now with, you know, I have 20 years on, I'm kind of at that point where you start looking, you're looking forward to retirement now. You know, retirement's way closer than when I got than day one. So it's like I'm in the conversation now of, hey, what's your plan? You know, you get that when you go to the state. What's your plan, man? Well, okay, I got about 8 years left. Am I setting myself up to have an enjoyable retirement?
Yeah.
That is really where it kind of all began and where it's been since that time.
Yeah, that's cool. So what made you decide, hey, I'm going to start an Instagram page. Like I need to affect more than just my community, as in like the boys I work with, my family, my friends. What sparked that interest?
Yeah, I don't, you know, I always had kind of a knack for like videography, photography. I like doing that stuff. I'm never afraid to put myself out there, be on camera. Like some guys hate it, some, you know, or just don't know how to, I don't know, film or do, you know, any of that stuff. And I'm like, dude, this is so easy for me. So I just started off really with like pictures and then eventually kind of recorded a workout video. And then it just kind of grew just like fitness through consistency to where it is now. And the production value kind of went up as far as the user endpoint, like, you know, music and just all the kind of talents I have outside of making something look good and appealing to the audience, yet still giving my message of, hey, this can be done quickly. Here's what you can do. You know, put it in front of a fire truck and everybody's going to watch it. So, you know, it just kind of worked out that way. And it allowed me to spread the message that this job is dependent on your physicality. There's no way around it. I don't care, male, female, it does not matter. You have to be fit for this job. And if you aren't, you're a liability, not just to your crew, you're a liability to your family as well.
Craziest thing is, like you said, I want to be in the best shape. I want to prolong my retirement, prolong my life, prolong my career, everything else. So that is just part of the culture, part of who you are, part of your department, honestly, part of this whole valley. So
Yeah.
the crazy thing is, the guys that know me, I started back east. I had 11 years on the job. When I came out here, even when I was testing, so I mean, I have connections to Phoenix too. So when I was testing, I was riding at Station 18 because I hooked up with Fire Bets. They've been on this episode. Great freaking affinity group. Awesome.
Heck yeah.
All the way around. Yeah, check them out. They're here for the brothers for sure. But so I remember coming to 18 and I'm looking at the firemen going, these guys are fucking monsters. Like they're in shape. Every single one of them, I'm like, they're in shape. I'm like, all right. And then I go back and forth a couple times. I ride at 18. I'm testing with Glendale. We're going through the whole process. And the biggest thing I'm realizing is the firemen out here are freaking in shape. So back east, it was like a running joke. And it really wasn't a joke. It was more of a reality. It was like, hey, man, the best shape of my life was the day I graduated the academy. And that was 90% of the guys in the departments around that area. It was just a cultural thing. I mean, they don't even have annual physicals where they're checking like functional movements and stuff like that. And the guys are asking for them. It's like, what in the world? So when I came out here, it was such a shock because I had dudes at that point, I was thinking I'm elite in my department in physical activity, and these guys are just running me over. I'm going, holy cow. So, cultural wise, I feel like, and I really want to take a dive in with you. Out is that like a West Coast thing? Because we know you came from the East Coast. Is that, do you think it's a West Coast thing? Do you think it's a Valley? But why is it so instilled in the Valley, especially the physical fitness, getting in your gear and doing these skillies and just this constant work?
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, I did come from the East Coast, just outside of Buffalo, and I wasn't a paid position there. I was in a volunteer position, but it was the same. And I worked closely with some departments around and got to see how they function. And today, I talk to people all over the country, and there's some heavy hitters that are for sure pushing that agenda of being fit. And I think that's starting to transition, but I am also surprised at the lack of commitment by departments to their fitness and to their wellness as you cross that Mississippi, as you get further east, man. It does seem to decline. And it's really the fitness level is really done on the individual level, not a department wide level. It's not necessarily a department wide culture, because I have for sure talked to guys that say, man, I feel like I'm beating my head against the wall. I'm trying to create a culture of fitness and I'm getting pushback from admin and from even guys at the station that are saying, dude, what's up? You're not going to be able to perform on a fire if you're working out at work, you know? So I 100% agree with that. And I'm not 100% sure why that necessarily is. I don't know if it is a cultural thing to just kind of let it go and rely on your day one, you know, physical level, but that obviously doesn't pan out very well, and you see super high rates of obesity and heart related issues in general, but especially over there. And I really don't understand it. I've never understood it, but that's again why I created what I did, to spread the word that this is what it takes. And you're 100% right, dude. When I came out here in 2003, and I was like blown away at the culture of fitness, because it was, to me, it was awesome, you know. And I think it is just one of those things, like in general, as you go east to west, you start seeing people outside more, being more physical, doing, you know, just being way more active. And I think that just lends itself into the department and the job for sure.
That does make sense. It's just it's
Yeah.
awkward to me. Like it's funny because there's like I wish there was that perfect fire department, right? So like I love the fitness level and workouts and the gear and everything out here, but then you go back east, it's like I wish we had the truck culture and the search culture.
Yes.
That like
Yeah.
it's funny. So like why the fuck can't we merge everything? We bring our fitness to east. East brings the fire culture to the west, and then we all are just these studs that freaking fight fire, freaking push iron, and just have a great time together. Like that sounds like an
That would be
amazing.
awesome. It would be. It would be. It's like the perfect combo, man. I agree, because there is a lot of things that I love from the East Coast fire culture. 100%. The aggressiveness. I love a lot of their tactics, and you know, I think we're seeing some of that, and I do think we're very aggressive departments. You know, we sometimes get bashed for certain tactics, but I really do feel like we are aggressive. We're going to go in and get the job done, but we also do it smarter. And I think there is, listen, if you look at a lot of departments that budget a ton of money towards funerals and services like that, that's just not something that's really talked about here, because I feel like A, we take care of our physical fitness, and B, we're smart about our tactics. And you know, we're not risking a ton for nothing. You know, that really has to play into the culture of the department as well. So yeah, man, I agree with you there. There's a lot of things I like about back east, but the physical fitness side, they're improving, but I really feel like they could do a lot more from the management side of things, and make that more of a culture, because that's, you know, the groundswell starts from below, but you need the support from up above too to make it happen. And I do remember testing for Buffalo Fire Department. I took their test, I got put on their list, I went and did their CPAT, and there was breaks in between. Like you do one event, and then you'd stop, you wait for the next guy, and then do the next event. And I remember being on that Jacob's ladder deal, and I'm doing the ladder. I'm like, I'm talking to the proctor. I'm like, dude, this is probably didn't help my cause. I'm like, this is so much easier than Phoenix's. Like, and to me, the CPAT's a joke. It's a joke.
It
Like,
is a
it
joke.
is the absolute base level that you could possibly do. And when
Yeah,
people are struggling with it, I'm like, come on, man, you have not prepared. But I remember just saying, man, this is way easier. I don't know. I'm like, can we do some more shit here? Because this isn't proving anything besides the fact that I'm not a fat slob. That's all it's not proving.
exactly. So I have a interesting question that I was literally typing as you were talking. So yes, culturally, let's keep on that. Guys working on their gear for the skillies for a second. So all right, East Coast, West Coast, we're talking about health, we're talking about exposures, we're talking about all that stuff all the time. So obviously cancer is a huge freaking topic in the American Fire Service. And I know you know where I'm going with this probably already, but this is just something that's been in my brain as a conspiracy theory. That's it. This is me only. So there's a lot of cancer deaths back east. I feel like it's awkward because I kind of feel like there's actually more out here out west. The only difference that I'm seeing between is back east actually has worse building construction when it comes down to exposures with asbestos and lead paint and stuff like that because it's an older community than it is out west. But with that said, I honestly feel like even, especially in the valley, we've had a lot of cancer deaths in the last couple of years. We've had 3 in my department within the last year and a half, which is freaking nuts. Do you have any inclination that has to do with either, this is my brain, the gear that we're wearing during our workouts because we're in it longer and we're sweating more, or maybe even are we checking our air supplies? Like, maybe it's an air thing. Like, who knows? Like, I know systems are checked and everything else, but how much are they really checked and how important is it and everything else? Like, again, conspiracy theory, Steve-O only, but I really want to talk about the gear because I've seen that you work out in different gear. Just how do you feel about that?
Yeah, here's my opinion on it. And yeah, I do use the Karna bunker gear, that blue gear. I get tons of questions on that every time I wear it. And I don't wear it every single time I'm doing skills course because in my mind it is mitigation. It is minimizing your exposure selectively. And I'm not always going to work out in the blue gear because it's not my real gear. I want to work out in my real shit. And I want to have my tools where they are. I want to have that feeling of, okay, here my wedges here, my radio's here, my tools are in this pocket. When I'm working out in the blue gear, it's just empty gear. And yes, it is PFAS free. It's way freaking hotter. It's super uncomfortable. And I love the thought of that being part of my regimen to reduce the risk. But here's what I think, man. I think you're onto something with the air. I think those cylinders maybe aren't always as clean as we think they are. I've had some guys on the utility trucks say, dude, when we bleed those things out, they are nasty, nasty. So 100%, it could be that. But here's where the rubber meets the road for me. It's your diet. It's what you're doing. The rest of those 24 hours, the rest of those 365 days of the year. How are you eating? How are you sleeping? Are you heating shit up in the microwave in plastic containers? Are you cooking on Teflon? Are all these little things that I get so much blowback from people like, oh, yeah, you're working out in your gear. Way to go. Way to up your cancer risk. I'm like, show me your diet. Show me how you're preparing your meals. Show me all these different things. Because if you're pointing at just one thing that you think is causing you cancer, you're missing the forest. You're hyper focused on one thing. So I think it is a culmination of a whole bunch of things that are creating the cancer risk. And for us, it is amplified because of our sleep deprivation, which is now a class 1 carcinogen, because of all the exposure, the extra exposures that we have. Yes, but we cannot just say throw out working in your gear, because that just, if if you're not a fireman, you learn very quickly when you put on that gear how restrictive, heavy, and how much heat it holds in. And if you're not prepared to do that, especially here when it's 13 degrees out, you ain't worth a shit on the fire ground. I can guarantee you.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, you said it like right now. I just said literally, I got off work 114 today, right? We had kids dropping left and right because we're in week 6. So they're still in that acclimation period. And these are obviously kids that have never been in gear ever. So we're
Right.
not talking about seasoned firemen that have to acclimate all the time. So talk to the guys that are not in hell, which is called Arizona, right? How do you acclimate for temperatures that we see? Because in all reality, we have summers that do 122 to 125. And that's a
Yep.
reality. But more importantly, we have stretches of 30, 40, 50 days in a row that are above 110. So how do you acclimate your body to operating in temperatures like that?
Yeah, you have to train in your gear, and it's not every shift. And I don't promote every shift doing a skills course. I don't think that's necessary. Honestly, I don't, and I think that's an unnecessary risk, cancer risk for you. I do believe that. That's why I have the blue turnouts because I can put those in play. But you don't have to do every workout in your damn turnouts either. I see guys bringing their turnouts home and doing CrossFit workouts in them and all sorts of stuff. I'm like, okay, why on your days off are you taking that risk, taking that exposure? Throw a weight vest on, get a blast mask, go out in the sun, hit a workout. You can do a ruck, with put a regular jacket on in the middle of summer, whatever you want. You don't have to do the risk. You can acclimate to heat by pushing yourself in the environment, and you're still going to be having those beneficial results.
Gotcha. All right. So I'm going to put you on the spot here, Nate, and you don't have to
Yeah.
answer this. You can give me a general age. How old are you, buddy?
I'll be 49 next month.
Damn. All right. So when you check out his Instagram, you're going to have no idea he's 49. So I literally guessed because I'm thinking like 39 to probably 45 ish. All right. So I'm 44. I've been doing this for 19 years. You've been doing it for 20. So we're pretty much about the same age, about the same body type, right? So my joints hurt like fucking hell all the goddamn time. Our feet hurt, especially when you're working out gear and stuff like that. What do you tell guys? Like, how do you compensate for the joint pain, the muscle fatigue, all that kind of stuff, especially when, and don't get me wrong, I'm a huge component of working out on shift. And those guys, they are the cancer when they say, oh, bro, you're going to go down or whatever. It's like, well, if you're only expecting to get one job a shift, shame on you. So that means if we get one job, we all have to go home because we're going to be too spent for the rest of the shift. Like, that's not how I want to train my body. But talk to the guys that are our age, our experience level. Like, how do you maintain this level? Because it's beneficial, but understanding that shit, we're older and stuff hurts, man, and we don't recover as quick.
No, we don't recover as quick. Like I did at 18 yesterday. I did some heavy kettlebell swings, some goblet squats, and some overhead presses. Right, and I woke up this morning and my neck was jacked up. Just like tight. I'm like, what in the hell? So that's when you know you're old. You wake up and you're like, something hurts. I think you have to be active to mitigate those injuries too. I really don't think if you are just laying around hitting the recliner and thinking that that's going to keep you uninjured, well, that's only prepping you for an injury in a real time incident. And you're not preparing your body for the call. In my opinion, you have to work in the mobility days, the sauna recovery days, a little bit of cold plunge. And it's not always, I know it seems like it on my page, maybe it seems like it's red line all the time. Like here's a high intensity 20, 30-minute workout. Like, boom, I'm doing this every single day. I'm not doing that every single day. I am taking days where I'm just that. I'll go in my garage, I'll hit the mats, and I'll just do some mobility, some very light work, and then do some sauna work in the evening. Like that's how you ebb and flow your body to make sure that you're getting good recovery and still moving forward. Because guys think that consistency is David Goggins 100% of the time, and it's not. It's not that just 100% effort all the time. You're gonna kind of go up and down and have good days, bad days, but if you're doing something a little 1% every day to get a little bit better, then you're still maintaining that consistency for your mind and for your body. So I'm a big believer in that. And especially you and I getting into that older range, like we do have to listen to our bodies a little bit more because when we're out there hitting a skills course and with guys, on my station that are in their 30s, 20s, like I sometimes have to remind myself, dude, you're not 32 anymore. Like, yeah, they're ripping through the skills course, maybe doing 2 rounds. I'm the kind of like the young bull, old bull, like, okay, I'm gonna just go through this. I'm gonna do 1 round. I'm gonna get a good sweat on, then maybe I'll go downstairs to the gym and hit something else. Like, so using age and wisdom a little bit as we get older plays a huge role too.
I have to, it's funny you said the whole, like, they're so much younger. I had that conversation with my old lady the other day because I'm like, I had to remind myself that, like, the kids in the academy, granted, they're doing a skills course. We're right there with them. And it's harder for us because we're coaching and doing the same events at the same time. And it's funny, I had to remind myself, I'm like, I'm fucking exhausted, but they are 20 plus years younger than me. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
if for some reason, and I know it's our types of personalities as firemen in general, that type A personality of, and it's hard to say, hey, I'm getting older. I might not necessarily be the fastest, biggest, strongest dude on the crew, at the academy, at the station, in the battalion, whatever it is. But I know it's hard for us to bite off because at one point, all those hard chargers probably were the biggest, strongest, fastest, whatever it was, So, and that's what I was wondering because it's hard to stay motivated. It's hard to keep going when things hurt. So I'm always curious on like what you do or where that mindset is. And it's funny, we just had on a couple episodes ago the Mayday with Kenny Roman from Tempe Fire, and at the end he talks about he's big into martial arts. His words, right, is motion is lotion. And it's funny, you basically said it, you're like, bro, you got to move, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And give yourself some grace. Be able to, you can pivot off of a workout if you're not feeling so great. And I've talked about this on my page. Like, hey, you get your ass kicked and you were planning on doing a big badass workout the next day. Well, at 30 years old, maybe you could still push through and do that badass workout. But now I'm like, listen, I'm just going to pivot off of that, do something different, go through the motions and make sure that I'm recovered, and I'll get after it tomorrow, the next day. I'm not doing anything, but I'm still moving forward and still fulfilling that commitment that I made up here to continually get better and stay at where I'm at, not lose ground. And I think a lot of us we're afraid of that. Oh, I'm going to lose ground if I miss a day, and that's just not the case. Your body does need time to recover. And so that's been a kind of a bigger paradigm shift for me as I've gotten a little bit older, is to check that ego a little bit and allow myself to kind of just let the body repair. I've had a bunch of injuries, and I think a lot of that is from pushing red line all the time.
Yeah, and it's hard, like you said, it's hard for us to kind of pull the reins back on ourselves, especially,
Totally. But
especially
that's
the
good.
guys.
Those are the guys we want. That's you want people that want to keep going no matter what. I mean, that's what we look for. If that's not you, then maybe this isn't the job for you.
You're absolutely right. And I've mentioned it on multiple episodes on this podcast of there is no such thing as everyone can do everything. Like this job is not for everybody. And even if you want it so bad and you have the best heart and the best spirit, you might not be physically capable of doing this job. And that's okay. Like society has told us that if you put your mind to it, you can do whatever you want to. Bullshit.
Yeah.
There are limitations, period, the end.
100% agree. 100% agree. The be nice. I love be nice. I love Bruno, but that can only go so far. You have to be able to do it. You have to, be physically ready for this job. Being nice is great, but being nice doesn't allow you to drag somebody out of a fire.
Yeah, exactly. And in fire scenes are aggressive, and you need to be aggressive, and sometimes loud, and sometimes mean, as society would deem it. But it's about doing the job efficiently, effectively, and aggressively. And when we do all those things together, we deem the scene safe rapidly, which is what we all want for the public and us. So win-win. But that's just a personality trait that my opinion, feel like that is a need and a desire for the people that we do hire.
I couldn't agree more with you.
All right, brother. Well, before we kind of start transitioning off of fitness, I do want to talk about supplementation a little bit because that's huge in the fire service. I feel like every station I've been to, depending on the time of the year and then depending on what Netflix documentary came out, like it's what we're doing collectively as a group. And
Yeah.
I'll use this as an example. When I think it was called Game Changers on Netflix, the whole vegan diet thing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I remember when that happened, there was like at the station I was assigned to at the time, there's an entire shift that was like, we're going vegan, fuck it, right?
Yep.
And it lasted for about a week or two. I think one guy tore a bicep, one guy like whatever, and then everyone else was sick of doing it, and then they resorted back. But that is, and the guys that are on the job know, that is the American Fire Service. So,
Hell yeah. Yep.
so for Nate, what do you prefer? Why do you prefer it? Just kind of take us down what you do for supplementation, or actually even better, let me back that up. What would you recommend for the general fire department population, for the guys that are just, trying to stay in it, everything else? What's your personal opinion on sups for the job?
Well, I would say first and foremost, before any sort of supplementation, it's food. I
Okay.
mean, walking into the firehouse, we don't always have the healthiest meals on the table. Cooking, deep frying stuff, like they're really good, but they're not really good for you. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes,
I
sir.
do bring my food a lot. I do bring my own food and kind of grab from what we're cooking if it's not what I want to eat. And my diet is really just like real whole foods. That's really it. I don't like fried stuff. I'm not big on pasta. I'm not afraid of carbs, but I just don't like those kind of refined carbohydrates and stuff like that. Rather fruit, vegetables, and just protein, high protein diet. To the diet aspect of everything, that's kind of where I go. So that's number one, because supplements are just they're to supplement what you're doing, what you're eating, and how you want to perform. So for supplementation, I work with X Endurance. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're based out of the Valley here. Jason St. Clair, he's a Gilbert fireman. He's one of the owners. Their Extreme Endurance is, and we can put a link in the show notes for it. But
Absolutely.
it,
We sure will.
yeah, it's one of my top supplements that I recommend. It's a lactic acid buffer, and that is, well, among other things, but that's going to reduce that muscle soreness, that DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, help you be able to recover faster, be able to, get into the gym more frequently with less soreness. It also helps fight against rhabdomyolysis by helping you reduce the creatine kinase levels. And rhabdo is kind of a big issue, especially here with the heat and with guys pushing each other. A lot of challenges. Let's do like a push or pull-ups after every call, and you're running a ton of calls, and next thing you know, a guy can't move his friggin' arms. So it helps with that. But in my mind, the reason why I like that supplement so much is it helps your VO2 max, which is equals performance on the fire ground, longer time on air, and it helps fight free radical damage, which we all need in here because that is a leading contributor to the degenerative diseases, to cancer. So I love that supplement. That's my number one. Number two for me is creatine. A good creatine product. X Endurance has a great one. You got to find whatever you want. I do like that, but there's so many benefits to it beyond muscle synthesis and recovery. We're talking like cognition and sleep, and there's more and more studies coming out all the time on creatine, and guys are so scared of it because they think they're going to start cramping up and having all these issues. Well, you know what? We're in the desert, man. Drink enough water, get some good hydration. A good hydration multiplier would probably be number three. And make sure you're staying on top of that shit because your muscle needs that hydration. Otherwise, you're going to cramp up. Otherwise, you're going to start tearing muscles. You're going to have injuries. You have to be smart about your supplementation. And for me, those three are really my tops. And you can go down the list of multivitamins and omegas and K. I have a whole supplement. We could spend a whole podcast or whole routine. We could spend a whole podcast talking about supplementation for sure. And it's not all X endurance. I don't want people to think I'm here just saying it's only that. I use a whole bunch of different companies that I feel fit me very well. So my message is to do your research and find out what you like, what's going to work for you, and experiment a little bit. But for sure, check out the extreme, get on some creatine, get a good hydration multiplier. I think if you have those three in play, you're setting yourself up pretty good.
Now, what do you mean by and this is my ignorance, what's a hydration multiplier? Are you talking about like liquid IV or something like that?
Yeah, liquid
Oh, okay.
IV, something like that. Redmond read again. I'm a stickler for clean ingredients. Like I'm always reading labels. Again, that just goes back to eating clean. Like if I am eating something that is processed in a wrapper, like I am looking at it, going, which one has the least ingredients and has the less BS in it. The less sugar in it. Like I do not like having a ton of added sugars in my stuff. So I'm always reading labels. So for me, like I like Redmond Relight. X Endurance has a hydration powder that I really like. And here's one little tidbit. We're all so big on zero sugar in the hydration drinks, but we actually want a little bit sugar in there because that is going to help shuttle it into your muscles, into where it needs to go. So I'm not talking like 40 grams of sugar. I'm talking, 10 or less is really ideal to help that supplement work to rehydrate you appropriately.
Yeah, and it's funny you said that. I was literally talking today. I was talking to another guy that's just a good old meathead like I am, and we were talking about old school supplements, and we started talking about Cell Tech. I don't know if you remember that. Like, way,
I
so
remember it. I never took it, but I remember it.
oh, it has officially ruined the taste of fruit punch for me because the only one I was able to get was fruit punch, and I can't taste fruit punch anymore. It makes me nauseous. But it was funny
Yeah.
because that was sending guys into like kidney failure and shit like that because of and granted, they were right. They had a right idea, so they put sugar in there to drive into your bloodstream, right? But it was like 75 fucking grams of
Yeah.
sugar, like every serving, and they were telling you to take like 4 servings a day. You were like, you're making like these pre-diabetics. It was crazy, but
Well, and that's a huge problem in the fire service is pre-diabetes, and you see guy, and I look just like at some of the supplements sitting on the table, like the face melting pre's and all these different things. And I'm like looking at them, I'm like, dude, you see, first of all, this has like 350 uh, grams of or whatever milligrams of caffeine in
caffeine,
here.
yeah.
Like it's 4 o'clock, bro. Like caffeine's the half life is like 8 hours, so you're going to bed with like 150 something grams of protein, milligrams of protein still in your system. Plus, it has all these other things I can't even pronounce, and you have a ton of sugar in here. You just had a bowl of fruit. You had the added sugar yogurt. You had now you're and I see you in the dinner after dinner grabbing some little treats and all these. I'm like, dude, you don't realize how much sugar you've had today? He's like, yeah, but I'm burning it off. I'm like, I don't know about that, man. You're not burning that much sugar off. That's just not healthy. So, I tell people, just pay attention a little bit to what you're putting in your body because it makes a huge difference. We microdose ourselves with horrible shit our entire career. And if we're not paying attention to it, it's going to catch up and make retirement miserable, not just for us, but for our families. So it's really important for me to pay attention to those things.
Oh, dude, I absolutely love it, and I'm thank you for kind of going down that area with me. But just one last question because you had mentioned it, the face melting pre's and everything else.
Yeah.
Let's take away the face melting ones because I know the ones you're talking about. But
Yeah.
and I'm asking this for me actually. Let me just say I'm asking for me. Do you recommend a pre-workout prior to a skilly? Because that's been a hot topic for us lately. It's going, should we pre before a skilly, or was that a negative thing? Because, are we constricting our blood vessels and are we reducing blood flow? Are we increasing it too much and we're vasodilating and I don't know. I don't know. So that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. I don't think we should need it to do a skills course. I mean, we certainly aren't blowing down a pre right before fire. I think mentally it's a crutch for some people. Like I took this, now I'm ready to go.
Mm.
I don't necessarily like to rely on that for a skills course. Now, if I know I'm doing a high intensity workout that's going to last, 20, 30 minutes where I'm really hitting it hard, then I will use a little carbohydrate blend from X Endurance called Fuel 5. It has some fast burning carbs, some slow burning carbs, and I'm positioning those carbs around activity so that it is giving my body what it needs to be fueled during that exertion time. And so that's what I really recommend is fueling your body the right way. Like, hey, if you're going to go out and you know you're going to kick some ass for about 20, 30 minutes on a skills course, maybe just get a little bit of carbohydrates on board. Maybe just have pre-hydrate with something that has a little bit of sugar in it right before. I don't feel like you necessarily need those pre's. Long sessions in the gym where you're doing, a split of some sort and you want it, okay, but just get a cleaner one.
Mm. I gotcha. All right. So
Yeah.
yeah, no face melting, just a light one
Yeah, I
if
don't like
needed.
that. And I'll say this, man, I feel like I'm pushing X Endurance too much, but they have one called Fuel 5. Well, because we have an energy drink problem too. And
Oh, yeah.
this is one that really chaps my ass is I see guys just having energy drinks all the time, and then there's memos that come out about, heart palpitations and all this stuff going on. You're seeing young guys, more young guys with that. And I look at what's on our tables when you walk in any time of day, and there's always an energy drink or 10 sitting on the table, and guys are just having them throughout the day like they're water, and that is 100% creating havoc. So I use focus from them, and that is 130 milligrams of caffeine. It has alpha GPC, which is actually a nootropic, so it helps you focus on things. It has beetroot powder, which gives you your vasodilation, and it's natural green tea extract. So it's a real clean way to get that little bit of a boost. And if you really want to amp it, put some of that Fuel 5 in there too. And now you're giving yourself the real fuel it needs to work out, plus that little bit of stimulation. And it's a clean version. That's what I tell guys when they're really blowing down all these crazy pre-workouts.
Gotcha.
Being smarter about it. I'm not against them. I just don't. Well, I am against like a lot of the pre-workouts. I guess I want people to have a healthier option.
No, and I understand what you're saying about the mental crutch. I mean, I used to be like that, where it was like, man, if I forgot to take my pre-workout or I didn't have any left, right when I'm getting ready to hit the gym, it was automatically going to be a bad gym sesh. And it
Yeah.
is, I had already decided it was because mentally I'm like, oh, bro,
Yeah.
I'm tired and I'm exhausted and there's no way I can push through. And I just stopped taking it for a while and realized that my workouts did not change. And I'm like, oh, holy cow. So I really don't need all that stuff. But lately we've been talking a lot, especially being taxed more. Like a lot of us are being asked to do more stuff. So either we're getting mandoed at work, we're getting held over the academy for multiple classes. Like we need to pick up overtime because of life happening. So it's like, where's that balance of we're exhausted, we're getting across the country, getting our asses kicked, right?
Yeah.
So, and then now we're being forced to work more. So it's like, what is the answer to help us just survive for another 24 hours? I don't know.
I don't know. And you're right. We are. But when you say survive, I always think about surviving after too, and how am I showing up for my family, and how am I going to show up for my family. So I like to take some of those poisons away as best I can and make it as clean as possible. That's just the way I look at it. I'm not saying it's right. I feel like it's on the right path for sure.
Gotcha. All right. Well, as we kind of transition out of the fitness aspect of it here, is there anything that we didn't talk about fitness wise that you want to leave the audience with?
No, I mean, yeah, just create that culture in your own mind. Like keep the commitment. I talk about keeping the commitment to yourself. Like you got on this job, like you said, the fittest day was day one. Like I honestly don't feel that anymore. I feel like I'm in better shape now than I was when I came on the job. And I am not the strongest. I'm not the biggest dude. You said we're the same body type. You look like you're much bigger, probably stronger than me for sure. Like I'm 160 pounds. I'm 5'8". I don't, yeah, I'm not, deadlifting some crazy numbers. I'm not benching some crazy numbers. You play to your strengths, improve on your weaknesses. And, there is places for all the different body types on this job. I feel like you got the big, strong guys. I try to be right in between, be that kind of hybrid person where I am strong. I got the lungs and I got the mindset that I'm going to keep going. Just keep that commitment. Make sure you're in this game, in this profession, doing it the way it should be done and being in the best physical shape that you possibly can be. And it takes work. So make sure you're putting in the work.
I got you. No, I love it. You're right. It takes work, so put in the work, right? It's what you put in is what you get out of. So
Absolutely.
so first of all, thank you again for kind of just going a deep dive on the fitness and then your passion with it. Something that we've been doing over the last couple of episodes that the guys have been liking. So I know how this works, but talk to me like I'm not from this area. So you work for Phoenix Fire. So we talk about the 95% house fire. So the bread and butter, this is a one-line fire, no big deal. In your system, how does that work? So how many engines, how many trucks, how does it arrive? Are you SOP driven? Talk to the audience about how you guys in Phoenix Fire run a normal house fire. I'm trying not to
Well, I
use
think
any
we
verbiage.
any verbiage. I was going to start ripping some verbiage out.
Yeah, go ahead. I was saying I'm trying not to myself, calling like a
Okay.
3-in-1 and everything else. Like,
Yeah.
so just march down the audience, how you guys run your bread and butter house fire, the tactics, a quick little dive on
Yeah.
that because people really enjoy that.
You got your three engines and your ladder is going to be your basic response, right? And
Okay.
that's what we're talking about, the 3-in-1. And first engine's coming in, sometimes taking a hydrant or a plug, depending on what part of the world you're in, sometimes not. And again, I feel like we're an aggressive department. So if we make the determination that, hey, we don't need to take a plug right away. We have a solid engineer. He's going to be able to hand jack, which means he's going to pull the line off. He's going to make the connections. We're going to run off tank water and start making an impact on this fire as soon as possible with the water we have on our truck. That's really, and then saying, hey guys, we didn't lay a line, the second truck in, hey, lay into us, take a second line off our truck. That's the culture. I really feel like we set ourselves up for being aggressive right off the bat. And we are 100% going to, just impact that fire fast. I see some, videos of guys, and it seems like it takes a long time for lines to come off the truck, and everybody's, just it seems slow. I don't know. I really feel like when we get knocked out on a fire, we are turning out. We're ready to go as soon as we step off that truck. Yes, our packs are not on, just like you guys. The packs aren't in the truck. We have to go throw our pack. That always creates a bit of confusion for departments back east that have their packs in their truck. I don't think that slows us down at all. I think it actually allows us to have an opportunity, if you have the experience, to listen to the radio, listen for your assignment, and get a little personal size up on that fire and be ready to go. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I feel like, first truck in is just getting after it as soon as they can, making a good size up. The captain's given that report. The other guys are listening. He's making the assignments based off of that. In our department, they really let the captains run those fires. Very rarely will you have a chief take over a bread and butter house fire. They may ask, hey, do you want me to take this? Nope, I got it. I've sectorized this. We're good to go. They really give us a lot of leniency for managing our own scenes. And I think we do it really, really well.
All right. So you said a 3-in-1. So what's a truck culture like in Phoenix? So what are they typically doing? And then are you a search heavy culture? Do you guys search through windows? Like break down truck culture in Phoenix for the listeners, please.
So I always say the truck thing, because when we talk East Coast, West Coast, we say truck, it's a ladder. A truck is a ladder. So for us in Phoenix, first, the ladder companies, they are not doing off the line searches going in like a lot of East Coast truck companies do. Specifically, they're either roof ladders or setting up, not on a house fire, hopefully setting up the bucket, but putting ground ladders up, getting on and waiting for interior to say, hey, you guys ready for us to ventilate? We do ventilate the roof. And I think it makes a huge difference on fires, being on the job for as long as I have, when it's very hot in there, when conditions are shitty, and it's a coordinated, hey guys, yeah, we're ready for a hole, let's go cut. The environment changes tremendously and allows us to do our search. So yes, we do. Engine, we're going to go find that seed of the fire. Guys will, as we're making progress in towards the fire, doing searches along the way if there's reports of victims. We really pay attention to things like cars in the parking lot. What reports do we have? What time of day is it? What are the fire conditions when we show up? I've had a couple of videos where people are saying stuff like, "Oh, you guys don't look like you're ready to go." Well, it's a commercial building and there's fire blowing out of every single orifice of this building, and they're talking about making grabs. I'm like, I don't know what department you're from, but there's no grabs to be made in that building right there because it is blowing out of every single door, window, roll up that you can see. So yeah, I mean, we're definitely search culture and putting and taking the fire away from the victim culture, I would say. And I there is a big change on the search tactics and how we're removing victims right now. I'm talking with, and you've probably seen him. I don't know if you've had him on, Cats with Priority Fire.
Yeah, he was on several episodes ago.
Awesome. I love his training, his forcible entry training, and now he's going into search and tactics. And how are we removing victims out now is a huge thing. Are we? It's not like backdraft where we're throwing them over our shoulders anymore and exposing people to all the heat and the smoke, keeping them low. Yeah, that's definitely come into our culture a lot more as of I don't know, about the past 3-4 years.
Yeah, and I agree, and I have a personal relationship with Captain Noah Katz, and like I said, he is super aggressive. But the best thing about him is he's introducing to our region a lot of things that we're taking for granted, or just introducing the science of it. It's like, hey, if we can lock their legs and be able to grab our pack with our bicep, we can do a dirty drag very effectively. And then he even brings out like the measurements, like on the temperatures, on the stick, on where you can keep them below for survivability, which is, again, it used to be an afterthought. And then guys like him, the hard chargers, are bringing that to the forefront, and collectively, all of us are benefiting from it. So, yeah, amazing stuff. So, again, the cool thing about your culture, too, like you were saying, especially on the fire ground, which is different than, I just had a battalion chief from the Baltimore region on not too long ago, and she had stated they will always assume command no matter who has it. And that would be, they work in a combination system. So it was at a volunteer chief, a volunteer officer, but the career officers, they will take it 100% of the time. So it's funny, like the cultural differences between where you're saying it, on a bread and butter house fire, unless something goes crazy wrong, the captain's probably going to run the whole scene. Is that right?
Yeah, that is 100% right. And I think any captain should be able to do that, manage that. A single house fire is pretty easy to manage unless something goes sideways, unless there's a surprise, unless we get a victim, maybe then the chief takes it over. Obviously, Mayday, yeah, chief takes it over. But we should be able to handle those. Even really anybody on the truck should be able to handle that if you're moved up, be able to manage that scene. Yeah, man, I looking at tactics and everything, I feel really good about where we're at and stuff we're introducing as well. There's been so much talk about changing the environment, and if fire's blowing out, popping some water in that window, knocking a little bit of fire down, and then making your way in. I don't disagree with that. Some people don't like it, but hey, if I can change the conditions a little bit, if there's a victim in there, that's going to make a big difference. Will they maybe get a little steam? Yeah, maybe. But if we don't change something really quick, what is the outcome going to be? And that doesn't mean you can't give a little hit in from the exterior, boom, real quick, make your entry, go in, and now have success in your search and have success in putting out the rest of that fire. So there's definitely been a shift for me in my career where I don't think we were ever taught like, hey, hit it from outside real quick and then go interior. Now it's kind of like, hey, at least think about it. At least think about it. Can you make some progress that way? So I think that's smart as well, and that's something tactically that we're doing a little bit more.
Yeah, and like I said, and I agree, and I know your system, but I love the idea that that is an option because I know there was a time like when that came around, the slicers hit it hard from the yard, whatever you want to call it, depending on what part of the country you were in when it came out. I was back east when it came out. We had gone through a transition where we, for a very, very short period of time, was like, we're going to hit every fire from the exterior, right? Initially. And then realized rapidly, guess what fucking happens when you darken down the fire? You limit your search tremendously because now you've limited your visibility. Like, fire blowing is not necessarily bad sometimes. Like
True.
that's an awkward thing to hear, but
It's free burning. Yeah.
yeah, but it's funny because like the tactics and everything else, but that's why I love to talk to every guest because yeah, I'm from your region. I know exactly how because we run the same exact way you guys do with maybe a couple small little nuances between the Valley departments, but like it's so dramatically different no matter what's the state, the coast, whatever it is, but we're all doing the same job. So thank you for kind of marching out there. So let's start kind of transition to the end of the episode. Let's talk about the why. We talk about why a lot. Like we'll ask brand new recruits, hey, why do you want the job? We'll ask guys on the job, why do you want to promote? The why, even different positions within the department we work for. But this why is for Nate right now. Why did Nate want to become a fireman? When was it a little kid thing? Did the bug bite you? Let's march out. Why you even got in this profession, brother?
Yeah, well, it was kind of from when I was a kid and being in that smaller town with the volunteer department and seeing them, run around and going to, it was a small enough town. Well, when you heard the sirens going, like you go and see what was going on, So I was watching guys on accident scenes at fires and being like, this is freaking cool, like I want to be a volunteer firefighter when I get bigger. And I was as soon as I could, and then it kind of settled in for me. I remember going to a training specifically, and it's kind of crazy because we don't have any of these anymore, but it was an open cab truck in the back, and we were driving along the river, and I was going to training, and I was sitting there, I was like just looking at things, and I'm like, dude, I'm in school right now. I'm going to college. I'm getting my degree. I don't want to do anything with that. I want to do this. Like this is way better. This is way cooler. I get to work with my hands. I get to do some pretty cool stuff, make an impact, help people out. I mean, you have to have that little bit of, hey, I want to help people out. I want to fight fire. I want to do the dirty work, man. And that is, I want to be the calm in the storm like that because I watched these guys just walking into situations where people are just freaking out and they're like calm and I'm like that is dope as hell and that's what I would like to do and that's when that bug bit me and when I started just even after I graduated college it was still a volunteer. I said, you know what? This isn't working for me. I want to make this a career. I want to go from paid or from volunteer to paid. And I always say that too, because I know a lot of volunteers listen to this. And it is, as a volunteer firefighter, it is your duty to be professional no matter what. Even if you aren't getting paid, it doesn't matter. We should all be professionals. Some people just get a paycheck and others don't. So when I left my department, I wrote a letter. So I'm moving on to Phoenix to pursue my dream of being a paid firefighter, not a professional firefighter. So that's a really important thing. I always like to drive home on this. Like professionalism is in here. It's not with a title and a paycheck.
I absolutely love that's you're the first person I've heard break it down that way, and I love it. And for the volleys out there, fuck yeah, like you're doing the. I tell the kids because our region doesn't understand the volunteer system because
No. Yeah.
it's almost non-existent. Well, it is non-existent, but it's 70% of the American Fire Service is a volunteer. So like I tell you kids, I'm like, hey, this is the only job that I know of, right? I'm sure there's others that people willingly do it for free, and you're here collecting a paycheck. So enjoy it and respect the profession, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, man. And there's some great dudes in the volunteer service too. I mean, some great leaders, There's great volunteer departments. So I don't like it when people bash on them. Yes, a lot of bad things do happen to them. Yes, you see a lot of real small towns with guys way out of shape, but you also see that in some big departments too. So I spent a lot of time away from my family when I was a volunteer, leaving dinners while I was sitting at home, leaving Christmas. I mean, imagine sitting in your own home at Christmas or at Thanksgiving dinner and your little pager goes off and you're leaving from being there with your family. Like there's a lot of sacrifice that happens there too. So there is some for sure respect for those volunteers from me.
Yeah, and absolutely. And like you said, it fucking there's rock stars out there everywhere, even if they're not collecting a paycheck. And I know there's a good portion of guys back east. I'll call out Kentland 33. They're badass motherfucking volunteer guys, right? Most of those motherfuckers are paid dudes somewhere else, and they love the job so much that they come back and volunteer. But you want to watch fucking engine work, like fast deployment lines. Look up Kentland 33. Those guys are killing it, right? And like I said, it's a fire service. Like I love aggressive dudes like that. Like hell yeah.
Yeah, I do, and I love that. I love watching all the videos of all the different hose deployments, and when it comes, it goes out smooth. We're typically running the 2-4, it's cross lay pull, really easy. But you see some pretty sexy lays out there, and guys are pulling lines. And man, when I see that and I see it done so well, I'm just like, that is what it's about right there, is professionalism, efficiency. No one looks panicked. And that's really to circle back. I feel like on our department, when we show up and you're first on scene and the captain's giving that on scene report, and especially in our truck, he doesn't have to look over his left shoulder and say, guys, I need you to do this, this, and this. Like he knows, we know what the hell we're going to do. We're going to do it well. We step off the truck, and I'll say this about our region. I really feel like it. We step off the truck with a sense of purpose. We know what line we're going to pull, and we get after it, and we make a direct impact as fast as possible on that fire scene. And that is what being professional is about, man. I can't say it about enough about having that part of your craft down, being able to force a damn door efficiently and not fumble fuck around and be dropping tools and just be a bucket of mess at the front door. Like have stuff. I feel like we get there, we have our stuff laid out, we're ready to roll. And again, professionalism is just, it's a title and it's something that you have to have in here. And I think we do it real well. You guys do it real well.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you hit the key, the professionalism, and that doesn't guarantee that paycheck. It's all about the attitude, the effort, right? Like we talk about that all the time. So, dude, solid. Real quick before we transition to the next question, you had mentioned like when you were watching the volleys when you were a little kid, and that's like what sparked the interest, and you're like, man, it's fucking chaos and these dudes are calm. Just curious because I kind of feel like this, and again, personal opinion stuff. Today's day and age, I kind of feel like when we arrive and we're very calm, people relate that as like we don't care, which is not fucking true. What do you feel the same way? Do you have any idea on that? It sparked an interest when you said it.
Yeah, I do feel like that. We have so many eyes on us now, and I feel like people look at us when we're walking up. Say someone's coded in the middle of downtown, and there's 1,000 people around because it's at the convention center, and we walk up. We're not running. We're moving with purpose, and we're setting stuff up. Show up on a fire. I mean, that's how we're supposed to react to it. Well, yes and no. I mean, physiologically, that's not normal. That's not normal, and that's maybe why we have other issues with mental health and stress and cortisol levels and all that. But that's our job, to maintain that level of calmness in those situations of chaos. Because if we walk in like the public would walk in, that scene would go to shit and nothing would get done efficiently. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what we do, and that's how we should be reacting to that scene. So I do agree with you that people might think that, but that's how we have to be.
Yeah, I was just curious because I mean, we all survived COVID together in the American Fire Service, running calls and everything else. And there was a lot of fucking flack, man, that we were getting in the Valley's general from freaking like doorbell ring cameras and everything else, like portraying like we didn't give a fuck, which was the complete opposite. It was just like we were trying to be reasonable with unreasonable people at the time.
Yes.
You know, like
Yeah.
I literally posted on my Instagram today, which obviously this episode is going to air way later, but it was a funny thing. It was like, remember shopping in 2020. It was like people in grocery stores with like water bottles on their face, and like it was chaos. Like fit or socially it was chaos, but like I said, it literally sparked that question, so I'm like, well, let me ask. But yeah, it was just interesting. So anyway, let's talk about traditions. So we are huge on traditions with the Fools. This podcast is for the Fools. So I'm curious, what is Nate's favorite American Fire Service tradition? So it doesn't have to be from Phoenix, doesn't have to be from a region, but I'm just curious, what's a favorite tradition? But more importantly, why? Why do you love it so much?
Man, that's and you preempted me with this question. I've been kind of marinating on it, and it's tough because we have a lot of traditions. But I'll say this is one I never want to see go away, even with people bringing in their own food, is sitting down and eating together and busting each other's balls around the table. There is nothing that is more welcoming, and it's funny to say, than getting your ass razzed at the dinner table, hanging out with guys that have become your best friends and cooking together, preparing meals together. Uh, that is just something in the culture of the fire service that is where brotherhood is bred. And I would never want to see that get displaced by guys just bringing in their own food or ordering out food all the time and going out and eating out all the time. Like, take that time, go to the store together, shop, bring it back, cook together. I mean, there's so much of the world's problems that are solved at those tables that is something that I think once all of us retire and move on, it's the one thing we miss is that moment right there every shift at the firehouse. And um, yeah, I would say that's the one tradition that I absolutely love. I never want to see it go away. And I don't think it ever will, but I would say to guys to cherish that time. And to the young guys, if you're getting your balls busted a little bit, that's a good thing. And you're be on the other side of that very, very soon. You should be saying thank you to those guys because that's your christening, your baptism into the brotherhood.
You hit the fucking nail on the head, dude. Like I tell guys all the time, I'm like, if we're razzing you up and busting your balls, it's because we fucking like you a lot. It's when
Yeah,
we don't talk to you anymore, that's when there's an issue. But it's
100%.
funny. I would say more than half the guests on this podcast have answered that question with the same thing, kitchen table. But
Hmm.
every single dude's answer is different. That's why I love it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like some guys have been like, man, I won't ask that question because everyone's going to say the kitchen table. I'm like, dude, I love it though because everyone has a different version of that kitchen table, and they're all amazing. That's why it's so fucking good. Like, there's
Well,
so many
here it
good
is.
reasons.
Totally. And, because like I said, I've had a few injuries. And when do I come back to visit the station? It's around chow time.
Yeah,
It's around chow time, man, because
yeah.
I want to be there. I want them to talk shit about me being off the truck. I want to hear that. I want to see what's going on with my buddies. It's such a unique thing, and there's a great FDNY video about it floating out there. It's been going around, but it's just such a unique thing that doesn't happen in any other profession that I know of. You're working in an office, you're sitting in a cubicle, you might go out to lunch with one person, but your whole office ain't eating lunch together. It's just such an amazing experience. And when people come in for holidays and we open the doors up and the families come together, I mean, that's another one. Like Christmases at the fire station, probably some of my favorite Christmases, man. Everybody's families, wives talking to each other, kids running around playing. Like that is just it's just brotherhood. That's what this job's about, man. It's about the person sitting next to you and your commitment to them, their commitment to you. And that's something that never leaves you. And I love that about this job.
I love it. And I just want to harp on Christmas for a second because you spawned such a good memory in my brain. So, like, my kids obviously grew up in the fire service. And it was funny. I worked for some reason, I seem to always work Christmas, or well, I don't know why, but my kids loved it because they got to do family Christmas the day before. So they got a day early presents, and then they got to go to the firehouse and hang out with all the cool guys, right? I'm not one of them,
Yeah.
but all dad's friends that are way cooler for the day, you know? And it's just like,
Yeah.
but that's awesome. Like who else has that besides us? Nobody. The only thing I can think of is like that kitchen table, that sitting down, that camaraderie is maybe like a foxhole in like a combat zone, like how close those guys would get. But that's it, right? And that's not a norm, and they don't want it, right? Where we desire that. And it's funny, like you talk to retirees, that's what they always say they miss is the boys, not the jobs, not the calls, not the house. It's the table and the camaraderie that comes with it.
Yeah, and it's not even sometimes the fires. Guys will say, I don't care about the fire. I want to
Yeah.
hang out with the fellas. I want to hang out with the fellas. And we do that over 30 years, man. And we build such good rapport and such good relationships. And it's something I value a ton. And that when you talk to recruits and they're talking about interview, this is something for people getting on the job. Like, man, talk about that brotherhood, that relationship, that station life, that experience that you are wanting to have and that you will fit into and how you're fit into it because guys want to know, can I work with this motherfucker for 30 years? That's what they want to know. Well,
Yeah.
I can train you to pull a hose line off that truck. I can train you to start an IV. I can train you to do all these other things, force a door, but I can't train you to people and I can't train you to want to be with your brothers for a damn near half of your life.
You hit the nail on the head. I mean, fucking great. So let's go to the last question, favorite question, right? So if you could snap your fingers, king of the day, right? You could change anything in the American Fire Service. What would it be and why? And this is instant gratification, right? No sweat equity at all. It is happening right now. What is it? But more importantly, why?
That every single department has a higher standard or has a higher standard test than the CPAT. Something you have to do a skills course. I'm talking a legit skills course every single year for you to stay on the fire truck.
All right.
I've just seen so many people in all departments, even in our department, your guys' department throughout the valley, that I look at them and I go, I don't think they can make it through a skills course. I don't think that, and that should not be the culture that we have. We should not allow that, and the public should not allow that either, honestly, and shouldn't want that. So if I could do this and say, hey, here you are, you have to be on air in your turnouts. These are the events you have to do, and this is the time you have to complete it in. I would snap my fingers and have that done.
Yeah. And if not, bro, you got a year to get back into shape because you're not going to be on the truck and we'll help you, right? That would be perfect world.
Yeah. And I'm not saying like, hey, you're off the job, we're going to fire you. Like, let's help you get back to where you are. And if you truly want it, you will do that. But it's the physical aspect of this job is so important to myself, to us here in the valley. I think that would be a tremendous impact, not just on the performance of the fire service, but on the health and longevity of the fire service, because it would kick guys into that mode of, I need to be prepared throughout the whole year to be able to do that damn thing, not just get ready to go on a damn treadmill for 2 minutes 2 weeks before, which it happens quite a bit.
And like you said, a long, healthy retirement, because unless the numbers have changed recently, which I don't believe they have, they say on average we last 5 to 7 years after retirement and we're fucking dead. That's horrible. And
yeah, how bullshit is that?
Yeah, like we do 30, 35 years serving the public, we should be able to drain the retirement system, and enjoy
I say that all the time.
Yeah,
Yep,
enjoy ourselves.
I want that pension board, like whatever it is, like looking at it goes, when's this son of a bitch gonna die? Like, he's still fucking alive? We're still paying him? Like, yeah, you're still paying me, dude. Hell yeah.
Yeah, that should be all of our goals. Freaking just we pay into it. Let's get our freaking money back and enjoy our retirement for all the years of service that we provided for everybody else. That's fair in my book. So, and it's sad. Like I said, I'm sick of seeing all these fucking not very old firemen that die very rapidly. It fucking sucks. So, I do great freaking answer all the way around. So, dude, again, thank you for your time. How can guys find you? So, like, they've listened to the episode, they're in. What's your Instagram handle? How can they contact you? Email, whatever you want to release to the audience, brother.
Yeah, dude, just Nader Vision will get you to me on Instagram. TikTok, I'm trying to get that going. I don't know if it's going to be banned or not, but whatever. We'll see. But Nader Vision on all platforms. I do have YouTube too. I'm trying to work out. But and ask me questions, guys. I answer. I get back to people all the time, and I'm an open book, really. And if I don't have an answer, if I don't have a specific, people ask me about programs and whatnot all the time. I will give you the answer. Say, hey, go to this person, go to this person. Here's where it's at. Please reach out. I am definitely not unapproachable by any means. And I love hearing from people too. It actually keeps me going because there's times where I'm like, F this, man. I don't feel like doing this anymore. And then I'm at a grocery store and someone says, dude, you're the guy that throws his hat at the camera. I follow you. I'm like, super cool, man. Thank you. Yeah, dude, awesome. All right. And just little things like that make me happy. You guys do help keep me accountable too, which is again, it's part of our job, keeping each other accountable. So yeah, reach out, Nader Vision, all around. You can find me.
Cool. Awesome. So yeah, reach out. And like I said, he's a brother. He's got fucking 20 years on the job, Phoenix Fire, super fucking busy. And he's 49. He looks like he's freaking 29. So the guy knows what the hell he's talking about right now. But again, Nate, dude, seriously, thank you so much. Again, this whole podcast exists because we're trying to keep the traditions alive. But more importantly, spread the word of the guys doing good work around and trying to make the American Fire Service better. That's what it's all about. We say it all the time. Let's leave this job better than we found it. But more importantly, let's make the guys below us, right, the brand new guys, better than we are, right? Let's leave it better. Let's leave it better than we found it. So the only way we can do is train them up, right? Give the information out like Nate's doing, with the workout stuff and everything else. It's all part of the job. Fitness is part of the job. If you like it or not, you got to be good at it. So Nate's the man. Reach out to him. Like I said, he's approachable. You just listen to his podcast. He's one of the brothers. So please do. And again, Nate, brother, thank you so much for your time to sit down and preach to the guys. So is there anything you want to leave the audience with before we sign off?
No, man, I appreciate it. I always value talking to another brother, especially one that's right next door. And it's awesome. And I know you have a lot of reach. Yeah, it's just so cool to have the impact that you're having, the messages that you're spreading, and I'm humbled to be on and be part of it.
And I feel the same way about you, my brother. So again, thank you for being on. By the way, a little shameless plug here too. My buddy Mike Goldstein, he's been on that, the Can Report. So check him out on that podcast.
Mike's awesome.
Our podcast here. So all the way around, Nate's doing the freaking good work. So again, thank you, brother. And thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you in another 2 weeks. We'll catch you later. Thanks for listening. We'll be back in another 2 weeks. Remember to like, share, review if you can. Helps drive traffic to our podcast. Remember, let's leave our ego out of the fire service. It's amazing what we can accomplish when no one's looking for credit. Much love. Let's stop beating our own and become better firemen. Catch you next time.